energize and inspire you with my presentation. We're going to be talking about Twitter and other Web 2.0 tools, and I see a lot of you have your laptops, which is good because I'm going to invite you to join some of my networks and hopefully challenge you to consider the possibility that some of what I'm going to show you and talk to you about a little bit might have some instructional potential for you in your own instruction. But first I want to get to know a little bit about who you guys are. So I want to introduce you, also to the community that we have right here in the room. So how many of you teach? And how many of you teach online? How many of you teach fully online? How many of you support faculty in some capacity? Okay. How many of you are administrators in some capacity or another? Okay. How many of you would say that you technology enhance your instruction? How about your life? Okay. How many of you are would consider yourselves expert level users? Okay. How about novice users? Who will say that they are a novice user of technology in general? Okay. How about reluctant users? Anybody? Anybody? How about enthusiastic users? How many of you have had a positive experience using technology in the classroom? Okay, so you're looking around as we do this, right? How many have had a negative experience? How many of you have tips and best practices to share on using technology in the classroom as a result of those experiences? How many of you use any social networking tools currently? How many have a blog? How many blog regularly? How many get comments from people that you have never met? And do any of you have any friends online that you've never met face-to-face? Okay, cool. All right, so now we have this sort of sense of who we are in the classroom. I want to show you a couple of things here as we start talking and defining Web 2.0. This is a really cool little page I found that you mouse over it and it shows you the millions and millions of Web 2.0 tools that there are around the world. And when I talk to faculty about Web 2.0 and using Web 2.0 in instruction, I show them this and you know, their immediate feeling is one of being overwhelmed. And what I want to do is not overwhelm you or anybody by this. What I want you to see is that there are, in fact, millions and millions of tools, and every day there are probably millions, I don't know about millions, but a lot of tools. And there are more and more every day. And I guess the bottom line is that what you need to know is that there are tools that are out there and that they can be used by you to solve an instructional problem. So I always approach it thinking that what is the tool a solution? What is the problem for which the tool is the solution, right? And I also want to make sure to tell you that you know, part of what this means and involves is that you need to be able to evaluate what's out there. There's lots of tools, and some of them go away very quickly, and some of them, like Twitter, for example, Jon Stewart is talking about on his show today. So you do need to be able to look at what's out there, determine if it's going to meet your instructional objective, or whatever objective you may have for the use of the tool, and then decide whether or not it's something that you're going to want to use, and you're going to want to have some criteria for what you pick and how you use it. Okay. are available on the sheet of paper that I handed out, and if you didn't get one of the sheets of paper, I will post it on the slide share after the presentation. There's another site called this one. This one is another good one, and it just is endless, and you can sit here and browse forever on some of these really cool tools. So today, you know, you may be thinking and asking yourself the question of why. Why am I talking about this? Why are you here? Why Web 2.0? What does it all mean? And so forth. And I guess my answer to that question from a faculty development perspective, and I'm in charge of faculty development and instructional design for the SUNY Learning Network. That's my day job. My other job is instructor of an online course for the University of Albany in the master's program, curriculum design and instruction, and it's an intro to online teaching course. So when I talk to faculty about why, I say that it's in order to become more effective at presenting your content, at engaging students, and at creating authentic opportunities for your student-centered interaction and collaboration. And it's also about building community. So part of the reason that I am so interested and engaged by it, in addition to exposing my students to it, and in addition to helping it make my job easier in terms of training the 4,000 faculty that I've had to train to teach fully online, it also, for me, is a way for me to connect with a professional learning network that is beyond the confines of the physical cube in which I sit every day. So I would challenge you know, everyone to think about those things and to consider the possibilities. So today what I'm going to do is demonstrate some cool tools that I have used in my online course, and they are collaborative, they're for communication purposes, and they're social networking or Web 2.0 type tools. And I want you, as you listen, to think about how you might use these tools that I'm going to show you, and I'm only going to be able to show you a couple of them. As you saw, there's millions of them, to enhance your own instruction. And also think about the fact that if these tools don't fit, there are lots of other ones that are out there, and if you have something that you're trying to achieve either in your course or in your work or in your you know, daily life, that there might be a tool out there that might help you do that better, faster, safer, easier, or cheaper. And that's always what I tell faculty when evaluating technology for use in their instruction. It is a tool, and if it doesn't help you do it in one of those ways, then you should not use it. And sometimes when you know, evaluating how to achieve a particular instructional objective, the tool might be a conversation, it might be a pencil, it might be a piece of chalk, and it might be Twitter. So I want to make sure that you understand that though I enjoy technology personally and love using it and exploring it for its instructional potential, I would never advocate the use of it just for its use's sake. It always needs to serve an instructional objective from the instructor's perspective. Okay, so let me show you my top 10 tools. This was my top 10 list of tools in 2008, and it's 9, but number 6 is Blinklist and Delicious, so I consider that my top 10. This year, I added, and actually in the middle of last year, I kind of added some of these. And I have the links to many of these on that sheet of paper so that at some point or another, if you're interested, you can look at it. Seismic is an online asynchronous video discussion. Jing is a screen capture tool. I can't tell you enough how slamming that is. Who is familiar with Jing? Okay, good. Digo, who's familiar with Digo? It's like Delicious on steroids, and I'm going to show you that tool. SlideShare, I love. I don't have to kill trees anymore with presentation slides. PoleDaddy I used. Mogulus I just used to webcast a conference that I run every year. And did anyone happen to catch the webcast of the SLN Soul Summit this year? Ellen, I know you did. All right, cool. That was a very, very slick tool. Way better than Ustream and any other tool that I've ever seen, because it allowed you to sort of edit things. You could do, subtitles and splash screens, and you could brand it. It was very cool. I'm playing with Facebook groups and pages, Flickr, of course, and then I stuck in a whole bunch at the end, which is not really 10, but I've been playing a lot with presentation type software, and Raku, Animoto, Wordle, and Prezi are a couple of the ones that I've been fooling around with lately, all of which I love for various reasons. So the first tool I'm going to show you, and I'm going to get out of this cute little presentation now. My course, which is here. So I taught this course over the summer last year in Moodle. I'm teaching it again this summer. I taught it in Moodle. University of Albany uses Blackboard, but because it's a course on Introduction to Online Teaching, they couldn't give me faculty level student course shell, so we had to go a little bit rogue and use Moodle. So the course is built in Moodle, and I incorporated Twitter in this course in two ways. One, you can see this little badge right here is simply an embed code of the Twitter stream for this particular course, which is ETAP 687. And I'll show you what that looks like from Twitter in a second. But what this does for me, let me give you a little orientation to the course. This is sort of the Moodle interface. Over here are the course information and student orientation documents. Over here are participants and who's online and measurements, and I'll tell you a little bit about that Digo link roll in a second. And then I'll just scroll down to show you that that was Module 1, this is Module 2, this is Module 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my final wrap-up module and my class community module. So that's kind of the overall structure of the course. And you can see along the side I have a couple of other things, including my own personal Twitter badge, so the students can keep track of what I am twittering about personally, not associated with the course.
Is this a fully online course?
Yep, this is completely online. I never met the students face-to-face. That's correct. And that is kind of what I do. Fully online is my primary area. Okay, let me show you this from Twitter. So I set up a Twitter stream for ETAP 687, and this here is a reverse, in reverse order, the newsflash announcements that I used for the course. Now, I could have done this in a lot of different ways. I didn't need to use Twitter for this, but I did use Twitter, number one, to try and see whether or not it would work for this purpose, which it did. I also used it to visually enhance the newsflash area of my course. I also used it because it's very easy to update the Twitter stream from wherever I am, including a cell phone, and to create a regularly changing element at the very top of my course, so the students are constantly seeing my new news flashes at the top of the course, and that helps me to in my social presence in the course, and it also helps me in my teaching presence of the course. So as I said, it's a very simple list of announcements. The students did not interact with me via Twitter. They probably didn't even come to the Twitter feed. I'm not sure. Six of the students in the class ended up being followers of the stream, so perhaps they did. And they could have followed it from their telephone. And I did actually have one student who was trying to interact with the course from the phone, and I had never anticipated that anyone would try and do that. I hadn't designed the course with that in mind. So that was a really interesting sort of side thing that happened. In any said, I could have done this in a variety of different ways. I chose to do it this way to put a little bling on the front page of the course, make it look pretty. I chose purple because I really like purple. And to make it, you know, a dynamic way to show the students that I'm present in the course. Okay. Questions about Twitter? Yeah.
Will the students have needed to sign up for a Twitter account or something to be able to check out the Twitter?
No, you can see, you can go to this right now, twitter.com/etap687, and you can see it. If you want to interact with Twitter and with me, then, and actually thank you for asking that question, because what I'd like you to do now, those of you who have laptops, and if you are not currently a Twitterer, go to twitter.com and sign up. It's very easy to sign up. You simply give yourself a username, you select a password, and you're good to go. Once you do that, what I would like to invite you to do is to come find me. My Twitter name, it's on that sheet, is Alex Pickett. And what you can do, this is very low stakes sort of involvement, Maureen, I promise you. I'm looking to see you follow me. Now, if you follow me, I will know, because I'll get a little notice saying so-and-so is following you. If you do that, then I'll follow you back, and then we can talk beyond the end of this conference. And you can see what I post. You are not obliged to post anything if you don't want to, but if you do, you can. My first post was, "This is stupid, I do not get it." Seriously. And if you go back through my history, I don't delete anything. If you go back through my history, you will see that as my first post. It took me a little while to get it, but what I would encourage you to do is to give it a try. Follow some people who you think are interesting and who are interested in similar things to you. So if you're interested in knitting, go find some people who knit. Or if you're interested in, you know, instructional technology, you can follow me. And then look at the people that I follow. Now I'll take you to where my page is. So you can, and this is what the interface looks like. It just asks you, what are you doing? And then you just have 140 characters in which to answer that question. I'm using a tool called Power Twitter, which gives you a little bit extra power than regular Twitter, but it's essentially the same thing. And you can see that for some reason 268 people have chosen to follow me, and I've chosen to follow 226. And you can actually see who those people are that I am following, and you can see what they are twittering about. Now, in Twitter, as well as in other social networking type tools, there is, you know, you have to sort of be able to filter out noise from signal. And I got those terms from my friend Kevin Lim. I want to make a mention of him. You know, people will Twitter about any random thought they have in their head. I tend to use it primarily for professional reasons and to document my walking through Web 2.0 land. I occasionally will post a picture of my daughter, occasionally. There's this interesting thing happening now where personal and professional is blurring. But I find, and we could have a whole day conversation about that. So I am encouraging you and hoping that you will come and join this network and explore it for yourself and get a sense of whether or not it's something that you will get something out of, and perhaps can explore the use of this tool for instructional purposes. Yeah.
Would you finish your thought though about filtering the silly stuff?
Yeah. What I do when the criteria that I used to follow someone, I used to follow everyone who followed me. What I do now is I look at, you know, I look at their page, their main Twitter page. I look to see, you know, a little bit about their profile. Usually if they don't have a blog or some sort of a page that extends beyond, you know, what I see on the Twitter, it's hard for me to evaluate that person. If I I look for that. I also look back 2 or 3 or 4 screens back in their Twitter streams. And if I learn one thing from those 2 or 3 screens, I'll follow them. If I don't learn anything, I don't follow them. So my purpose for doing this is to extend my professional learning network. I want to learn from other people, and I want to engage in interaction on the things that interest me, which is namely instructional technology. And so there are people who follow me that I block because they're spamming kind of, or that I just choose not to follow. It's okay with me if they follow me, but I'm not interested in whatever thing they're selling or talking about. A lot of like marketing people find me somehow. Did you have a question?
No, but you just asked us all to sign up and follow you, but we're just getting started. Does that mean you won't follow us?
You know what? Very good
Sorry.
question. Very, very excellent question. Right in your follow, you can then send me a message and tell me that you're at the NERC conference, and I will follow you back. Okay?
There you go.
I promise I will.
Two-way street.
Absolutely. Because I really do want to continue. I mean, you guys are here because you're interested in this too. And so, I'm interested in what you have to say. When you guys were holding your hands up, there were a lot of you who said you were, experts and who said you had some tips to share. And I am very interested in learning from all of you as well. I always say that, I know a little something about, teaching and learning online. I'm always a learner, and including in my own class, I always make sure that the students understand that we are learning together, and they get to be my guinea pigs as I experiment on them. Okay, so that was clear. I now want to show you, let's go back to my course. I did I use this tool called VoiceThread. Who's familiar with VoiceThread? Okay, cool. More and more people have seen it. I use this as an ice-breaking activity in my class. And basically what it is it allows you to put up a couple of slides, or however many you want, of whatever you want. I happen to use a PowerPoint presentation with some questions about who the students are, why they're taking the class. I want them to tell me tell us about themselves. I want to know if they've taken an online class and what they learned from that experience. And I really want to know what the one thing that they're most interested in learning. Now, immediately you can see from this course homepage that I've embedded this tool directly into my course. You can interact with this tool right from here. I've also provided a link directly to the VoiceThread space. Well, this is free. I'll tell you if any of the things that I use that are not free. This is free. You can see that it has a nice interface and gives me outlet for my, PowerPoint graphic design desires. It also allows elements of teaching presence and social presence by showing little icons of the people. And these are my students and me, the people who are in this class. And it shows you who visually has responded to this question. Now, the slickest thing about this tool, there are several slick things about it. One is you can interact with it by text. So I can type in my response to this question, and it will appear as a little text thing. I'll show you in a second. I can, if I have a camera, like my Mac has a camera right in it, I can record a video, and it will come up with a little tiny video box, and I can record audio and video, my response to this as an audio and video little thing. It also gives you the ability to type in your telephone number. VoiceThread then calls that telephone number, and you can leave your response as a voicemail message, and then it pops right in here. So a student who doesn't have a microphone can leave a message here that is an audio message. They're not relegated to just typing it in as text. It's a very, very cool tool. It's very easy to sign up for this, and it's very easy to use. I've seen it used used in a variety of ways. I've seen it at the K-12 level, used for kids to post their artwork and then to audio comment on the kids, each other's work. I've seen it used at the college level to have discussion around, in an art history course, around images. I've seen it used in a number of ways. And if you go to voicethreads.com, the URLs are on that sheet again, you can browse what other people have been doing with it. And you can use it to send you know, a Christmas note to your family around the world, you know, or have a sort of Christmas interaction with family. I've seen that too. So let me show it to you. I'm going to go to the URL here. And
Alex, have you used these in classes through your teaching?
yes, I just showed that.
That's the one that you're using?
Yep.
Right.
It's the this that we're looking at right here, which is in my course as an ice-breaking activity, is this, viewed from the VoiceThread URL. Okay, so it's the exact same thing. I'm going to run it a little bit so you can see. So that was me introducing myself, just in a plain text. And I'm going to
Hi. I am using the phone feature, testing it out. I hadn't ever used this before, and it's so cool. You just put in your phone number, and VoiceThread calls you, and then you just leave your message, like if it was a voicemail message. It's really easy to do, and if you don't have a microphone, that's a way that you can do this activity without having a microphone or having a video camera or whatever. And you can also always do the text feature.
I'm going to go forward. This is a student's response.
Hi, my name is Abby. As you can see from my picture, I'm a mother to 2 amazing little children. I'm also a high school ESL teacher, and I've also taught ELA. I am taking this course to learn more about online education, as I think that is my ultimate goal, to bring online education into the high school classroom on a more permanent basis.
Okay, I'm going to show you a video one now, see if I can get it to go to video.
So when obviously she had the mic pretty close and turned
She
up.
was, yeah.
So VoiceThread doesn't adjust
So
the
I'm
volume?
trying this again to see if I can,
No, it does.
the last one I did, my camera wasn't enabled for some reason. You just right click on the VoiceThread and select settings and select your camera, and then you need.
Okay, I just wanted to show you the little video part to that. Now, the weird thing that happened, my lesson learned from using this tool as an ice-breaking activity, the weirdest thing happened. The students scripted themselves. So it never occurred to me that they would do that. Go figure. So they would type it out in text, exactly. So the woman who spoke first, the student with the 2 adorable kids, she was reading, right? And she was reading her little script, and then she posted it also as text. So it was like, I already knew she was reading from how she sounded, like, you know, how she was talking. And then she posted it as text. It was the weirdest thing, and many of them did that. And, you know, my hair was a mess in that video. Did you see that? I had just gotten up, and I purposely, and my voice was all gravelly, and I purposely extemperated. You heard the ums in there. I say a lot. I purposely did it conversational tone in my kitchen. I actually moved the camera and showed them my kitchen. I showed them my front yard, which needed some yard work, and they still scripted themselves. I thought, okay, you know, I model what they want, what I want them to do, and they didn't do that. As they actually, a couple of them did towards the end, but it was like a really interesting phenomena. And the next time I do this, I'm going to have to tell them, don't script yourself, please. I want you. I mean, part of the purpose of this is for us to get to know each other as people, not as, you know, person who is trying to impress the professor who's going to grade them type thing. You know what I mean? I'm not grading them on this except about whether they did it or not, right? What I really wanted out of this was I want to get to know who you are as a person. Part of the reason I want to do that, we could have lots of conversations about pedagogy and you know, effective practices and what I think about those things, but you know, part of the reason is is to establish some social presence, which doesn't mean being chummy with your students. It means establishing trust so that then you can get to the teaching presence and can get to the cognitive presence so that learning can then actually happen. So I need to know my students, they need to know each other so we can interact authentically online. And so that's what I wanted them to do. I wanted to know, do they like dogs? I wanted to know, I wanted to see their houses and so forth, yeah.
Were these grad students or undergrad?
Master's level students, yep. Yeah. And of all ages, from like very early 20s to possibly in their 60s. There are some old professors in there. All different levels of their careers too. Some were actual professors and some were just, getting their master's degree and were going to be K-12 instructors. Okay, so I want you to think about how you might use this tool either in your instruction or even perhaps personally or in faculty development or in your own professional development. Just think about it and go to the site and have a look at what some of the people are doing. And remember, there's always going to be a lot of noise, so you have to try and find signal and for whatever it is that you're interested in. If you're interested in yarn, I don't know why I'm thinking about knitting, but if you're interested in yarn, there's a woman there who shows all of the yarns that she has, and they're beautiful yarns, really beautiful pictures of her yarn. All right, let's see. All right, my next tool is social bookmarking. I'll go back to my class and show you what I did. Now, I'm asked sometimes why I chose to take some of the interaction in my online course outside of the confines of the course management system. And that is a really interesting question that I have really fascinating answers to. Seriously, I'd love to talk about this. I feel constrained by the course management system. I feel that in a student-centered online teaching and learning environment where you're requiring the students to generate content, when the end of the term comes and their access to their stuff goes away, that pisses me off. So when okay, so this is who I am. So in my online class, I really am trying to authentically engage with and interact with the students. And part of that means that if they are generating content, I want them to have perpetual access to that. I actually want them to continue to use Digo as their own social bookmarking tool beyond the end of the term. And so by not locking it down in the course management system, and I could have, in fact, I've taught this course before, all within the course management system, and I had a beautiful shared references area, and boom, at the end of the term, the students don't have access to something that they helped create, an annotated bibliography of all the resources that they used in the class. So when I found Digo, I was overwhelmed. It is, as I said, delicious on steroids. I've used Delicious and Blinklist and other tools, and I still continue to use those. But Digo is like delicious, as I said, on steroids. It allows you, well, first of all, let me show you this bit. This is the ETAP group, so I created a group in Digo. I call it ETAP 687. Only ETAP 687 students have access to contribute to this group, right? So you can make it private. The whole world can go see it. You can go to Digo and find this group, and you can see all my students' the references that they posted during this particular course. Then it gave me an embed code that allowed me to plop it into a little box here in Moodle that actually dynamically changes and aggregates as the students put resources in there. So every time they come to this home page, they will see the most current stuff that has been bookmarked in Delicious, and, in Digo, and they can go there from here. They can click on this and they'll go to that resource. Now let me show you what it looks like from Digo itself. This is it, Digo, D-I-I-G-O. And you can see this is the ETAP 687 bookmarks, and all the students are in here doing, I've posted a lot of stuff, they have posted a lot of stuff. let me show you. Okay, so one of the cool things about this is that you can bookmark it, number one. You can leave little comments that either the whole world or that particular group will see. So this enhances my ability to present content to students with my commentary directly on the resource. You follow me? So I could ask my students a question here about this particular resource, or I could make a comment here, or my students could do the same thing. They could ask a question, or they could post a comment, or they could simply highlight this so that when they come back to this resource at some point or another, it's highlighted for them, and they will know that they're the ones who highlighted this and that they have, for some reason, wanted to highlight it. You can also add yourself a sticky note to remind yourself what you were thinking about here, or you can leave a little comment similar to this one. I have only begun to scratch the surface of the potential of this tool. Yeah.
And so have you left Delicious in the dust?
No, I actually still use it.
Why?
How
do you differentiate?
I don't know why. I'm not sure why. You know, I have groups that I belong to in Delicious, and I have friends that I sort of, that I follow in Delicious. What Digo allows me to do is when I bookmark something to Digo, it also bookmarks it to Delicious. I don't really go there very often. The other thing is my Digo bookmarks and the tag clouds I use in other places. So I want to continue to make, they don't have that capacity for Digo yet. It's kind of, it's not real new, but it's relatively new. And Delicious is just much more established, and they have things that you can do with Delicious that you can't yet do with Digo. So for example, if any of you have ever used Wordle, has anyone used Wordle? Right, you can just pop in your Delicious username and it'll generate, I'll show you that in a minute if we have time. So I still maintain it, and I actually also use Blinklist, which is another one, but I don't use that one as actively. It's actually on one specific machine that I use, and so when I'm on that machine I use Blinklist. Yeah.
What happens if the content of the web page changes? Like the text that you just highlighted, what if Wikispaces goes in and changes the text?
I have no idea. I don't know what happens. We'll have to try that out. I don't know. Okay. So, I would like you, again, I'm going to keep saying this after each tool, I'd like you to consider signing up for this and testing it out. You do have to download, you can see up here, right? You actually can see my Blinklist one too. This is my little Digo toolbar, so whenever I want to bookmark something, I have the ability to bookmark it right here. I have the ability, when I bookmark something, to send it to a particular group. So if I want to send it specifically to ETAP 687, I can define that with the tool. I can highlight text, I can leave comments, I can read any messages that I have. So you do have to download this little whatever it's called, Firefox add-on or whatever. So I don't think, you can try and do it now if you like, but I really encourage you to think about this and explore it. Even if you just go and sign up and then start looking around the web, and you'll start seeing a lot of these little highlighted passages. You mouse over them, a little sticky will pop up. You'll see these little comments and stuff on some pages. There's tons of them. It's kind of interesting to see what other people are saying about some of the resources that are out there, some of the stuff that's out there. Okay, enough about that. Let's go to blogs. My next cool tool was the way that I incorporated blogs in my course. Now you'll see in every course module, I had the students do a reflections blog. So I asked every student to set up a blog, and I gave them directed learning activities for interaction in that blog. And I also provided them with a blog post grading rubric, so they knew exactly what I was looking for in terms of their blog. They were also required to self-assess based on that rubric, so I wanted to know, I do a lot of self-assessment, both in interaction, discussion, and with the blog. I ask them to self-assess based on the rubrics that I provide. I also, well, I can show you the rubric in a second, and you can look at my rubric. It's publicly accessible from my blog. And what I did was I kept the blog as sort of the mother blog, and then I hung off the student blogs off of my blog, and that way there was just kind of like one location for everyone to go to view the blogs. As I mentioned, I would have them do a directed activity. So I'll show you what this one was. I would ask them a specific question, but part of the purpose of this blog. So I asked them to look at this video, did you know, and then to look at a document that I provided them, which are the demographics of SLN students, and then I asked them to consider how those two things would impact the design of their online course. And then I gave them instructions on how to do it. You know, I recommended EduBlogs because it's an educationally focused blog tool, but they could use whatever they wanted. Now, again, part of why I wanted to, you know, Moodle has a blog capability. WebCT does, Angel does, they all have it, but they lock it inside a course management system. Part of the purpose of a blog is for it to be your personal thing that you customize to yourself, that you keep and maintain, and that it's public. If it's in a course management system, okay, there's different things that you could argue, but you cannot argue that it's a blog. It's really not a blog. It's a journal, maybe. It's, you know, so it's not a blog unless it is out there and public. And I wanted the students to have a sense of their personal, public, digital persona, and to do that from a professional perspective. And I also did it so that they would have a venue to do some metacognitive journaling to enhance their learning. I wanted them to reflect on what they were learning in the class. And I can't tell you, you can go and look at my student blogs. There are things that they talked about in those blogs that did not come out in instruction, and my courses are very instruction heavy. Discussion heavy, interaction heavy. But there's stuff that they reflected on in their blogs that was about how they were learning, about what they were learning, about how they were going to apply what they were learning, about what they liked in the course, about how they were dealing with the different things in the course I was making them do. I'm kind of hard. I make them do a lot of stuff. And I'm looking at very specific things. For example, their subject lines. Anywhere there's an opportunity to put a subject line, I evaluate that subject line like it was a quiz. And if it doesn't teach me something, and I have a rubric that shows you, but part of their purpose in the class is to demonstrate teaching presence. Teaching presence is not just the domain of the instructor. It is something that everyone in the class can demonstrate and exhibit. And so I need to see their demonstration of teaching presence in everything that they post. So, including their blog. I'll show you the blog. Where is it? Here we go. So this is the mother blog. So the one that I kept, and I kept this blog as I designed the course and as I taught the course to give the students insight into my design process, as well as insight into my course management and teaching activities. So I used it myself as a reflections blog, and then I also, as I mentioned, hung my students' blogs off of this, and I'll just show you a little bit about the teaching presence that I showed. Like, I tell them where I am so that they know where I am. I put pictures of my baby. I have stuff that I've contributed to Seismic in here. This little thing here allows me to interact in a synchronous capacity with my students. It's called Meeble. It's just a little widget that allows you, if someone's on your page and you're connected, you can talk to them in real time, that little widget. There's my delicious tag so they can get a sense of who I am and what I'm interested in. And I also popped in my blink list. This is in there somewhere. And some pictures of my family that you can't really see right now. And, you know, who has visited and what other social networking stuff I do. Now let's go and look at one of the student blog posts. So Amanda here. Now, you, and here, this was highlighted, probably by me. She's saying something nice about me. Yeah, that's probably me. Now, as I mentioned, you can come back to this, to that blog, and the URL is on the page that I gave you, and you can look through these blog posts. Now, you'll see at the end of every blog post, there's a little number in parentheses. It's on a 4-point scale. So I had them self-evaluate what they thought their rating should be on that particular blog post. And then I went in and I rated it myself, and I would give them feedback on if they were, giving themselves, 4s and it didn't merit it, or if they were rating themselves too low or whatever. And they've got the hang of it after, after a few times of doing it. Let me show you the blog grading rubric so that you know where it is. It's right here under favorite posts of that particular, of the main blog. And so I have them do self-evaluations, I evaluate them, and right there, an excellent blog post is right there. That's what that is. Then above average, average, minimal, unacceptable, and then I take points away based on what their subject line is, whether or not it's a complete sentence. I want it to be a synopsis of the point of their posting, so that when I look at whether it's in discussion and I see that thread, or when I look at the blog posting titles, I want to be instructed by their titles. So that's why I do it. Okay. So I invite you to come and have a look at any of these student blogs. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. How much more do we have?
2 minutes according to my.
Okay, I'm going to stop now. All the links are on these pages, and I want to open it up and see if there's anything that you have questions about after seeing some of these things. Is anyone going to come and, try it and come and find me? And somebody raise your hand. Okay, good, good. Make sure that you say that you're from NERCOM, and then I'll know who you are. Any questions? Yes.
I'm really curious about your decision to have the interplay between personal and professional. Can you comment on that?
It's a very recent phenomenon for me. It's funny because most people go the other way. They start out having it be personal, and then realize at some point or another that they are being looked at by people that they work with, and so it starts out that way for many people. For me, I started out exclusively professional, and little by little, my cousins from Columbia found me. They're children of my cousins found me, and people from high school that I have not thought about in very few years. And so I started having some of these interactions, primarily in Facebook, I'd have to say. And so a little by little, it started blurring, and I feel that it's a serendipity. And I feel that in my own, if you look at any of my profiles, I always say I'm Issa's mom first. She's 7 and amazing. You can see pictures of her online. I am an artist, second, and I know a little bit about teaching and learning online, third. That is how I represent myself digitally. That is who I am. That's how I represent myself in face-to-face too. And so I knew this. I knew it in my heart that I am multidimensional, that I am not just the associate director of the SUNY Learning Network. But it took my head and my actual practice in the social web a little bit of time to catch up with that, and for some cousins to find me, I guess. The father, the guy this morning, John Mayo, was talking about grandmothers and on Facebook. The father of the family that I lived with in Belgium when I was 17 years old just friended me in Facebook. He's like 70. Oh my God, he's going to read my 25 things about me. But it's interesting because I always have this sense of my public self, and I was just telling Maureen this morning, I always think Larry Johnson of the New Media Consortium is going to read this post, whatever I post, right, because we're friends. And so I always am a little concerned and careful about how I represent myself. But I'm that way in public too, you know. I mean, I'm very sort of casual, but I also, you know, I care about my professional self. So I'm very aware of it. But what I like about it and what I talk to my students about is that this demonstrates to your students, to the people you're interacting with and to your students, that you are a multidimensional person and that you are not just your job. And that has become very interesting to me and very important to me to represent myself as a whole person. Part of that is the social presence that I was talking about. And it's not about being chummy or, you know, my students being able to see pictures of me when I was in college that were posted, you know, beyond my, you know, control, which I can't get rid of, right? But, you know, so it's about establishing trust, and it's about having students know that you are a real person and what you are about and who you're about. I want them to know that I'm a mother first, you know, so, yeah.
You said that your first comment was that you don't get this.
Yeah.
You seem to have come a long way, so.
It's been 2 years though, you know, Twitter's cool now, but it wasn't 2 years, I mean, it was new, you know.
So what would you say the breaking, you know, the ice breaking?
When I met people who taught me something, and when I could put a question out there, oh, in fact, let's try it, because I posted something. When I could put a question out there and get responses back from all over the world. Howard Golding, do you know who he is? The Smart Mobs guy? He got the grant from the MacArthur Foundation to do the thing. Yeah. Reingold, sorry. You're right. Thank you. Howard Reingold. Yeah. See how much I know. He follows me, and he wants to use my blog grading rubric. I've talked to him in Seismic. I've actually talked to him. It's just like freaking cool. All right. Okay, now look. This guy, are you in the room here? There you are. So he's tweeting. This guy here, are you here, Wedman? He uses Twitter to share ideas and reflections. Look at all these people. I sent out a little note.
Do you know Telegirl?
I do know her.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I absolutely know her. We're friends. Look at her. She's right there.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah. Look at this. Okay, like how cool is that? It's amazing. So if I have a problem, if I have a question, if I need a suggestion, I can Twitter, and you know, people will respond to me with suggestions. Some might be noise, but I focus on signal. You know, the stuff that helps me, the stuff that moves me a step further or closer to whatever I'm trying to get to. And I can only hope that, you know, you've gotten inspired a little, that you've learned maybe one thing, and please come and join my networks. I'd love to get to know you and learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Maureen.